Welcome to the Careers by Jenn podcast, episode 227. Today on the podcast, Jenn's topic is your MidSummer career checkup. Because somehow doing it in the summer is just less depressing than a midwinter career checkup.
You're listening to the Careers by Jenn podcast. I'm your host, Jenn Swanson. This is the podcast that helps you to get the job, love your work, and advance your career. Careers by Jenn is a listener-sponsored podcast, and if you like the content, please consider supporting the show as a patron. You can do so for as little as $1 a month. Head over to careersbyjen.com and click on support to learn more. Career checkup. What do I mean by that? Well, in the same way that we go to the dentist or the doctor or the mechanic from time to time to make sure everything is working the way it should in your mouth or your body or your car, your career could also use a checkup and would benefit from the same kind of care and attention and preventative maintenance as those other elements in your life do. And it's summer. Many recommend doing this in the new year as a New Year's resolution kind of thing, but why not summer? I am recording this episode mid-summer, actually, July 31st, on my birthday, and it seems like a good time to talk about this because things slow down for many people in the summer. The pace is a little bit lighter and slower, and you might actually just have a little breathing room in which to do this kind of self-reflective work for yourself. I just said self twice. There you go. But this work for yourself that maybe you don't have time to do in the busyness of winter. I'm looking forward to some vacation at the end of August because I haven't had any yet this summer. But in the meantime, this career checkup is a good idea, and I'm going to be doing it myself, I think. I'm going to offer you 5 steps in this episode to take to do this well, and you can take as little or as long as you like to complete these. It's completely up to you and to what your schedule allows for. And you might want to write stuff down or grab a paper or a device to make some notes on so that you can really work with this content, or just keep playing this episode over and over again, whatever works for you. So I'm going to go through these 5 steps, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions to consider as you do this checkup. Step 1 is to take stock. Think about this past year, from last summer to now, if you're listening to this in July or August, or whenever you listen to this episode, go back a year from now and think about how this year has been. What complaints do you have about your career? And what are some of the joys? What are some of the highlights of this past year? And what are some of your accomplishments? What are some of the problems or issues that you'd like to see addressed or fixed in your workplace? Or maybe in your role in particular? Did you meet your goals this year? Did you even set goals this year? And if you didn't meet them, what happened? How excited are you to be doing this particular kind of work? Are you bored? Are you frustrated? Are you overwhelmed or content? Or do you absolutely love going to your job every day? How long do you see yourself continuing, either in this role or in this particular organization, in this particular line of work? If you feel like you might want to move on, what do you dream of doing next? Take the time to write all of these things down. And take your time to really ponder and dig into these questions, because then you will have something to consider, and it will help you to take stock, to have an overview of what's been going on in your career, and to maybe begin to make some plans. You also might use some of this for your next performance review. It might be really helpful to have thought of this before you're sitting across from someone who starts asking you questions. And you might actually set some goals up for yourself as a result of this reflection. So step 1 is to really take some time and think about this past year, where you've been, where you're at, and where you want to go next. Step 2 is to update your profile. You just never know when new opportunity might come a-calling. It's good to review your resume and your LinkedIn and other social media profiles that you have every year. It's really good to do this once a year. You can put it on your calendar as a little reminder and to check in on what you've got and to make sure that these items reflect who you would like to present to the world. Headhunters, sudden job offers, a downsizing. These are all sorts of reasons why you might suddenly need to have your resume, your LinkedIn, your social media profiles up to date. So why not do this now and save your potential future self a whole bunch of scrambling if something does happen? Even if you don't make a move, even if nothing happens, some employers check out your LinkedIn and your social sites when they're considering employees for promotion. So if it's as up to date and as fresh as possible and includes any training or upgrading skills that you did last year, even better. It's very important to keep these things up to date because then it looks like you're being proactive. And that's what people are looking for. Not even just the content, but the fact that you've updated it, that you've got the latest seminar you led or the latest workshop you took listed. Then employers and people who are looking for somebody to come and work for them can take a look at that and can know that you're keeping up, you're being proactive. So I would make sure these are up to date. A few minutes of doing this on your own terms in your own timeline of updating this information could make all of the difference. Now, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile yet, which horror of horrors, why not? Then check out episode 159 of this podcast because it's all about LinkedIn and it's also all about updating and making your LinkedIn as fresh and modern as possible. So check out episode 159 of this podcast if you haven't done so already. That's step 2. Step 3 is to upgrade. And what I mean by that is upgrade your skills in your professional development. Why wait until someone suggests it to you? Take some time now to identify any professional development opportunities, any training sessions that will enhance your skill set. What areas of work are your biggest challenge? And can you take a course in person or online, or can you read some books or do some research on how to get better at these areas that are challenging you so they become less of a drag on your career? Do you have trouble with tech? Well, you could take a course to make that easier. Do you find yourself in conflict often? Well, taking a course or a training session on conflict or on anger management might be helpful. Are you shy and awkward in conversation with others? Well, then find improv training and stretch yourself a little. You'll have fun and you'll learn a ton about people and about conversation by doing something like that. You might even meet some new friends. A couple of years ago, this very week, in fact, I interviewed the amazing and accomplished actor and educator Alan Alda on this podcast. It was actually called Communication Diva back then, but it's still in this podcast feed. If you search episode 136, you will find my interview with Alan Alda. And in that episode, he shared how he has spent many of his later years teaching people improv and helping them to communicate better in their careers. And these are not actors. These are not people that want to get up on stage. This is a tool that he uses and the foundations that he has created use to help people in their careers and in their work and in their personal lives. So you might want to take a listen to that. Alan Alda has founded some corporate training and education centers on the subject, and improv can vastly improve your communication and make things easier. So check that out if you haven't listened. It's just fun to hear Hawkeye Pierce. I can't believe it to this day that I got to talk to him. Anyway, if you know nothing about emerging trends or growth areas in your industry, then it might be a good time to find out as much as you can about what's new, what's innovative, what's happening in your industry, and maybe set some time aside to research and to learn whatever it is you can about that so that you can be and feel more informed about the work that you are doing. Attend lectures, go to seminars, take workshops, read books, or listen to podcasts. Basically, what my advice is to be proactive about your learning and take charge of it. You can decide to get better at something. You don't have to wait until you do. You can decide that you're going to and then make a plan. Go figure out how. Upgrade your skills so that you're more valuable an asset to your workplace or to your next workplace if you're looking to make a move. It's never, ever too late to learn, and it only adds to your skills and your resume and your abilities and your LinkedIn profile if you do some professional development. And again, it can be informal or formal, but it is completely up to you to do that. Step number 4 is check your relationships. Now, we spend more of our waking time at work than we do at home if we are working full time. How are your workplace relationships? Do any of them need care and attention? Are there people that you wish you knew better? Are there people that you'd like to learn from that might be mentors to you if you figured out how to ask them to do that? Are there people you have a tough time working with? Are there networking opportunities that you could be taking advantage of? If so, one thing to do is make a list of all the people you want to connect with and all the events that you want to attend that might allow you to connect with people, and plot these into your calendar for this next year. Be intentional about your workplace connections and your relationships, and you will be amazed at how things will improve. Another note here is to check in on your online connections as well, because sometimes we work remotely or we work with people virtually that we never physically get the chance to meet. So maybe you haven't said hello to them lately or checked in with them. So why not drop them a line? If you know it's their birthday, send them a note. Sometimes that goes a very long way to strengthening relationships. And again, relationships can be face-to-face, personal, or on the phone, or virtual, online. Step number 5, check your health and wellness. I spend a lot of time in my corporate training work going into organizations and talking to people about their health and wellness in the workplace. And it's a hot topic. It's really, really important. How is your health and how has it been this last year? How is your stress this last year? What were you doing for your wellness in the midst of all the work? Were you drinking enough water? Were you moving enough? Did you rest well? Burnout sneaks up on you, and so it might be a very good idea to make some wellness plans for this next year by scheduling in some exercise, or by starting to listen to some health podcasts, or by signing up for a new fitness class or a nutritional cooking class of some kind. Because honestly, life is no fun when you are not well. And you're definitely not going anywhere or advancing in a career if you don't have your health. So even though this is step number 5, I suggest prioritizing it to the top of the list of what to focus on this next year, unless you already happen to be someone who's doing a great job looking after this. I am so very much interested for myself in how food is medicine, and how what our cells are comprised of is the food that we put into our bodies and the liquid we put into our bodies. I've been learning a ton about this past year, about ways to heal the body from the inside and how to prevent many illnesses and conditions by changing to whole, real, unprocessed food. I'm actually a little obsessed with this subject right now. I'm listening to all sorts of podcasts and people speaking and reading lots of books, and I think it's really critical for the planet and for the health and well-being of humanity to take back cooking real food and eating real food. I think we'd have a healthier workforce in general, a healthier population if we spent a little more time in the kitchen and a little less time ordering in or doing the fast food thing or the microwave thing. So take time. Anyway, that's my little rant for the day. Take time to review how that part of your life has been this past year, and maybe even just set one goal for yourself, something really small, so that you'll actually do it. Like giving up pop. In Canada, we call it pop. In the US, it's called soda. I'm not sure what it's called elsewhere, but fizzy, sugar-filled, chemical, color-filled drinks, right? Start with one thing. Switch to water, even once a day if you normally would have that, or switch to tea. But start with one thing that will improve your wellness and go from there, and do it until it's a habit. Skip the elevator and take the stairs, even for a couple of flights, and just do that and over and over and over again until it becomes a habit. You don't have to shift everything all at once. That's impossible, and people give up after a very short amount of time if it's too much and too overwhelming. But if it's a tiny, tiny little thing, then you can stick to it. You can set it as a goal for yourself and do it. All right, that is your career checkup in 5 steps for you. That is the 5 steps of taking stock was number 1. That's the longest step, probably. Step 2, updating your profile on all your platforms and your resume. Number 3 is upgrade. So take some courses, learn something, take charge of your learning. Step 4 is checking in on your relationships at work. And step 5 is checking your health and wellness. Now, I have just relaunched my Patreon page, and what that means is that if you have enjoyed this podcast and previous episodes of the show and would like to support the show, you can do that by heading over to careersbyjen.com, clicking on support at the top of the page, and for as little as $1 a month, you can help to allow me to continue to bring you great content. I'm also going to include the 5-step career checklist in the posts that are for patrons so that you can download and access it there if you want it all printed out for you to work with. I sincerely hope that you have had a wonderful summer so far, summer of 2019, if you're listening in real time. And thank you again so much for being with me here today. I hope this content has been useful for you, and just take good care of you. You've been listening to Careers by Jenn with Jenn Swanson. If you like what you heard, please share this. If every single person listening today shared this episode with just one friend, our audience would be twice as big just like that. And the more people we can help with our content, the better. So help out a friend and help grow our audience by sharing this show with someone you know who would benefit from the content. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that, and together we can make a difference. Until next time, take good care.